Faide and other solo players have been keeping useful game secrets hidden, and I'm going to expose some to you. After researching some comment sections, Reddit posts, and some videos of what the secrets are, one person kept coming up who supposedly was the father of all solo Apex, who's always shared their strats and their techniques and are still being abused to this day. Ross Apex. Ross Apex is a legend in the community and even has a whole technique in the game named after him. Even as far back as 3 years ago, he's shown to be soloing squads by using unpredictable and quick peeks, which is basically him switching angles, separating enemies, and using fast movement to do so to get him multiple, and I mean multiple, 20 bombs in 4Ks. And Faide can be seen using these techniques and more all throughout his videos. Fortunately for us, Raph has explained some of these and we're going to use them to expose Faide's secrets. Faide has never made a video once explaining what exactly he does, with many trying to copy him, streaming their attempts, and never actually replicating his playstyle. Which leaves us with the question, what exactly is he doing? Faide can be seen using insane healing routes, using multiple different climb ups, and even some quick movement techniques. Is it really all this fancy stuff you need to do in order to be a 1v3 master? Well, all these things are all just to assist the real baseline strategies that you probably have never even heard of or forgot existed. And we'll get to that later, but for now, let's start with the basics. Faide seems to know how and where to go all the time. Well, Faide prioritizes and takes the best positions all the time. He isn't moving around for no reason. The best positions are the ones that give you an advantage over an opponent, or in this case, the 1v3. Some examples could be high ground and head glitches. Faide positions himself so that he knows where his enemies are, and so he can easily get an advantageous or sometimes fair 1v1. Position he never wants to be in is where two people can shoot him from the same angle. Faide will not stay and fight in a position he knows is not in his advantage ever. But this doesn't solve the problem on how to deal with enemies who can have good positions themselves or seem to always stay in packs with their team. How does Faide deal with this? Well, he baits players into making mistakes and capitalizes off them. See, nobody's perfect, but when it comes to Apex, our players sometimes show symptoms of a very low IQ. So you need to punish them brutally for their mistakes. If you back up and people continue to push you in the open, just turn around and do a free 100 quick spray. Maybe they're camping and you decide to nade them and they run out in the open. Beam them. Or if they break your door, line up a huge damage shot or even throw a vertical nade up to get easy damage on them. Even when you hear someone climbing up to your high ground, you need to look immediately and shoot them while they're in the climbing animation. Start to pay more attention to what your enemy does so you'll quickly punish any of their mistakes. Stop letting other people's mistakes go free. You're supposed to let them know that daddy's home and punish them for that. But that brings us back to the statement that no one is perfect. So how do you recover from when you yourself make mistakes? You have to understand and play Apex's distance game. What the fuck is Apex's distance game? Well, it's when you know when to create distance and when to close the distance. Faide does this every single match, so listen up. When you take damage from the enemy, especially when you're cracked solo, their first thought is to run at you like COD zombies to finish the kill. Your response should be to create space so you can heal or even go up a couple layers in the building and fall while healing if they're still chasing you, to keep them at a far enough distance from you so they can't successfully push you. Even if you were in a team game and one of you gets cracked, that person should back up a lot. And if one of the teammates can't punish the out and open push the other team does, then everyone on the team should back up.
What is that fucking thermite? They might push off of that. Nope. I'm walking the right side here. They are pushing off that.
Barely anyone does this. Even pros don't do this correctly. So remember this tip to be ahead of everyone. I feel like I'm revealing my secrets too, because I do this to get multiple 4K and 20 bombs, and I only have 500 hours of playtime. But you're probably thinking, doesn't the distance game mean when I do damage, I have to push too? So how do I do this without getting punished? This is exactly what's in the email from one of the solo YouTubers I contacted who asked to be anonymous. It's how to be one step ahead of your opponent all the time. And that's to always be moving, changing your approaches, and never re-peeking the same angle twice. I know some of y'all are still re-peeking the same angle after your ass just got beamed from that same angle. It's 2023, bro. Stop doing that. Make sure your opponents never know what you're doing and where you're gonna come from. Different angles help a lot with this. Faide's enemies never know where he's coming from because he's always switching it up, attacking from height, then after that damage attacks from underneath their asses. He gets creative. But isn't it weird how you see some really good control players not doing a lot of these things and they're still coming on top of these 1v3s? I'm not saying it's overpowered, but most players on PC are on controller and think it's not possible to play like this on roller. Well, it is possible. That's because Apex and other shooters like Overwatch and etc. are a damage game. Do more damage than your opponents and you win. Simple, right? Faide and many others like their host are very good at doing more damage to their opponent and taking as little damage to themselves. This is the key to winning every fight. Although this does mean we need to hit our shots when it matters, which is why some content creators and pros have publicly said on Twitter and on YouTube that they use or switch to controller because of this reason. Don't comment down below I hate roller, I'm only saying the facts here, no opinions of mine. However, if you don't have the best of aim, it's okay. When you aren't hitting your shots, slap back into cover, reposition, and try again. As long as you're using your surrounding and strafe to keep damage to yourself a minimum, you can continue to try and output more damage than your enemy. Also, stop walking in straight lines in the open just to get beamed. Could you make it any easier for your enemy to damage you? I see this all the time and wonder what the hell is going inside people's heads. Also, if you ever find yourself in a 50-50, which means a fight with you and another person out in the open, you either have to use an escape ability or just finish the fight. Finally, it all comes down to putting these tips into action. You may be wondering, how exactly do you do that? Well, I barely play Apex, but when I want to learn something quickly, I just tell myself what I need to know, or maybe even write it down just so I can remember it and keep these things in mind the whole time when you play. You should be confident and force yourself to do these things no matter what, even if it will cause your death, just so you can learn it. This game here that I'm showing on screen was my second game on, and I used all these tips to get a 20 bomb. If someone as average as me can do it, then you can too. These clips are just me putting the techniques into action. I chose to stay up here because I know the two other people are inside, so this is a good position for me to have. I'm trying to get sneaky damage on them while they can't get damage on me, so this is a pretty good position for me. I'm always trying to change what angle I'm peeking from so they can never know where to pre-aim their cursors. I punished this Pathfinder for running in, and I'm ready for the climb up on the Octane and beam him. Last, I jumped down to switch positions because I knew he was going to come up,